All right, thank you everyone for joining us today. Let's get started with this webinar, 10 new features and more than 20 additional updates to step up your CRM marketing from Tinyclues. So before getting into the subject, we'd like to go over a few technical points with you so that everything goes smoothly. So we have about 5 minutes of intro. The presentation will be around 35 minutes. And then of course we have a Q&A at the end where you can ask any questions that you have. So please use that Q&A section to ask your questions. For any timid viewers out there, you can also ask your questions anonymously if you so wish. We would advise you to keep this window open so that you can see other participants' questions. We'll respond to as many questions as we can, and if we don't answer your question, then we will follow up with you by email after the webinar. All right, so let's talk about some product updates and how you can step up your CRM marketing. But before we get into that, let us just introduce ourselves quickly. I am Rachel Euchner, Product Marketing Manager at Tinyclues.
And I'm Laura, and I'm Director of Product Management at Tinyclues.
Thank you. So today, a lot of the features and improvements that we develop are created directly from customer feedback. We're constantly keeping our eye on the market, and we also have conversations with our own customers a lot. So many of the features today were developed directly from this feedback. Before into the product, I wanted you to give a quick overview of Tinyclues, what we do, because we have an audience out there today that is varied and might not know exactly where we are. So Tinyclues enables brands to bridge that gap between customer data and marketing actions. We are AI powered, and where we really focus our product is on what we call implicit customer intent. What we have here is triggers and journeys. So I think many of you are familiar with explicit intent. That would be, for example, triggers, journeys, an abandoned cart, that type of thing. But where Tinyclues really focuses its energy on is on what we call implicit customer intent. And that is the unexpressed customer demand. Because we know that mass campaigns, that is batch and blast campaigns, just like triggers and journeys, they have a plateau that they reach. So you can only send messages to so many people before you reach your entire customer database. But what you can do is really focus on the unexpressed customer demand. So before customers even know that they're interested in one of your offers, we have the technology that allows us to find the customers that are most interested by the offers that you push through several channels. It could be email, push notifications, Facebook, and many others. So that just gives you a quick overview of where Tinyclues positions itself, and we really complement very well the triggers and journeys, but we have a little specific part of the market that we address. If you have any more questions about Tinyclues, you can ask them in the Q&A, or of course, you can follow up with us after the webinar. So on the agenda today, we have first finding topics with our insight tools. Laura will go over that. Then we will also show you how to build a better campaign plan with the topics that you found using our insights tools. After that, thirdly, we will go into how we automate data transfers with our native connectors. And finally, how to better understand the audiences that you reach with your campaigns. So with all of that, Laura, could you tell us a bit more about the insights tools and how we can use these in our campaign plans?
Thank you, Rachel. Indeed, we have spent a lot of time over the past few months to extend our insights feature and to provide more features that help in advance of creating the campaign plan, the marketing team to better imagine what they could put in their campaign plan and not just help them to productize the day-to-day work. It's really to help them ahead of time. If I focus especially on this feature that is called Efficiency Map, the idea behind it is really to give you a unique view of your catalog to help you understand how your customer will react on each topic that you may have in your catalog. For the sake of the demo today, let's pretend I'm a retailer and I have a lot of products going from electronics to fashion. And what I can see in that map is that it's all my brands, so all the brands that I do handle within my catalog that are organized based on their revenue. So that's the size of each rectangle on that map is the revenue they have generated over the past 30 days. What I have, in addition to that, that is really the key Tinyclues layer on top of just the analytics part, is the color scale that you see that goes from white to dark blue or even purple. What it means there is how many people in my customer base will be interested in that particular communication on that particular brand. So for example, if I take the Nintendo brand, it's really a white area, so it generates pretty good revenue in my catalog, but it has only what we call the efficiency index of 1, meaning that I need to contact a lot of people to be able to maximize the revenue on that brand. So there is no specificality in the people that will be interested in that topic. It could be a good topic that I will have to use a batch and blast to get the right people behind it. On the other end, if I take, for example, the Sony campaign or the Sony brand, sorry, or the Apple brand, they are more on the blue side, meaning that there is less people in my customer base that are interested in that topic. And to maximize the revenue and the KPI of the campaign on such topic, I will not need to go far in contacting a lot of people. I can only focus on a small part of my customer base, of my audience, in order to reach the people that will be really interested in that topic. So this is really the key of that feature to help me better manage how I will plan all the campaign that I will do based on that insight. I have additional information to help me make that choice. So for example, you see that there is a little arrow that is either green or red that helps me to understand the trend in terms of revenue. So is it something that is more is increasing in terms of revenue or decreasing? This is something that can interest a lot of people, I think, in your organization. So this is also the kind of feature that you can easily share internally by either opening that particular feature to some people in your organization that they will only be able to see inside feature, for example, or you can even download the underlying data or the image to share internally within your organization. If I go on with my demo, I will show you how you can use it on a real use case to help you build your plan. So going back to my retail world, I'm the CRM within that company, the CRM manager, and I need to create a campaign on electronic category that has been asked by my merchandising team that I need to put a campaign on electronics this week, sorry. And again, here, what I see, so category brand really depends on your catalog. So of course, depending on how your catalog is organized, it can be discussed upon setup. So here I'm on the electronics, and I do see that the electronics have a big revenue in my company, but they are really wide. So it means I will need to do a batch and blast campaign to maximize the revenue of that campaign. And I do not want to do that because first I need to do a push campaign. So I really want to focus on a small part of my audience. And second, I already have a pretty packed plan for this week. So I would like to find more incremental campaigns to do than contacting everyone on too many channels and too many topics. So what I will do is I will zoom in the electronics part to see if there is product that I could use to do additional campaign this week. So what you see on the product side is even if the category itself is more generic, within that, I have a bunch of products that are really specific to a smaller part of the audience. And that's why it is interesting to me today. So for example, I can see that I have the PlayStation 4 that is on top that I can use today because the PlayStation 5 will go out soon. So I know that we have a bunch of stock on that. and that I can use it to contact little people and maximize, again, the potential of this campaign and of the people to react positively to my campaign. So that's definitely something I could add on my plan. And the other one, it may be the iPhone 11 that I see there also. And since the iPhone 12 just got out of the door, I can also do something on the remaining iPhone 11 that I have on my stock. So what I will do is that I want to use those two campaigns, but what I do not know yet, if it's the people that are interested in the PlayStation 4, are they the same as the one interested in the iPhone 11? And to do so, I have another tool within the Tinyclues product that helped me to understand how similar the audience is between two topics or two offers or two products. So I will go into what we call the audience mapper that allows you to exactly visualize that. So here you can see this is a matrix that goes from coolest like color, blue one, to warmest one that are the orange or red. The coolest color are the ones that are really not much overlapping between each other. So there is few people that are interested in both topics. When you are on the orange part, like the Wii console, for example, with the Samsung TV, that have 77% of overlap, it means that between the audience interested in the Wii and the audience interested in the Samsung TV, I have 77% of people that are the same. So it definitely means that if I want to do two campaigns on the same day on that topic, people will receive two communications. If I want to prevent that, I can, of course, have some fatigue management that will help me to manage that, but I know that I will not maximize the potential of each campaign individually. If that makes sense from an editorial standpoint, I could group them together and make a single communication on both things. If it's not the case, I should spread them over the week. That will be smarter. Going back to my example and my use case, so I was on the PlayStation 4 and the iPhone 11, and I see that between those two, I only have 23% of overlap. So that's not that much. It still is a push campaign, so I want to do two push campaigns. I will avoid doing them on the same day, at the same time, and so on. But there is not that much overlap, so I can maximize the revenue, the potential of each campaign on its own. So I will do two different communications. Now that I know the two campaigns that I would like to add to my plan, we will go to the campaign plan. I just want to quickly wrap up on the insights part. This was, of course, one example of use case of things that you can manage using the efficiency map and or the audience mapper. This is not the only one. We've done a beta phase of the efficiency map with some of our clients, and they've been kind enough to give us one of multiple use cases. They've used that internally within their organization. And for example, you can use that to explain why you select a certain amount of user within a campaign, because at some point, if a campaign is really specific, a topic is really specific, there is no point of adding more and more people within the communication, because with only few people, you will maximize the revenue of the campaign again. It also helps you to understand how specific you can be in your communication. If this is a generic campaign, you can be, of course, more generic also in the way you present the campaign. If it's more specific, you can adapt your communication based on that information. And you can find what we call untapped opportunity. Maybe usually you communicate on things that have a lot of revenue, but with the efficiency map, you can also identify that those kind of topics that may seem smaller in terms of revenue, but because you do not have to contact a lot of people to generate and maximize the value of that campaign, you can add that as an addition to your plan. It's like incremental value that you put on top of your initial campaign plan that was planned. So that's it for the insights. Let's go back to the planning. Now that I know which campaign I want to add to my campaign plan this week, I can do that easily. You will see in Tinyclues in just a few clicks. So this is my current week. you see that I've already a bunch of campaigns that are planned for this week. And I will create quickly the one on the iPhone 11. For the demo, I will only do the iPhone 11, but it will be the same principle for the PlayStation 4 if I had to add it to my plan also. So you just click on create a campaign, give a name to your campaign, whatever you want to help you find that back in your system. The date is automatically the one I wanted. I can select on which channel I want to reach my customers, of course, and you can do a bunch of use case and channel with Tinyclues. After that, I will just select my campaign. So this is really for you to better organize yourself within the planning. You can easily identify which campaign is about which topic. So this one obviously is on smartphone. And the key thing is I will go and find the topic that I want to target with that campaign. Here it's the iPhone 11 Pro. I just click on create, and as easy as that, Tinyclues will identify in just a matter of a minute which are the best customers for that particular topic. While it goes on, so approximately 1 minute, as I was saying, I will just show you other features of the campaign plan. You can see there that I have other campaigns on emails that are already created for this week. They are all highlighted together. That means that they have been optimized together. What optimized means in Tinyclues words, it means that I've set some marketing fatigue management rule to prevent users to receive the full campaign. So I've asked Tinyclues to spread my user where it makes sense. So where the customer will be most interested in the topic, it's the campaign they will receive. The thing is, they've asked me to change the volume on the jacket campaign, so I need to increase this volume. As you can see, I have already 2 campaigns on that day. So I'm wondering what will be the impact of increasing the volume of jackets on my other campaign that is planned on the same day. Always the same thing, because I do not want people to receive 2 campaigns on that particular day. I may lose something on the trouser campaign. So let's just check that. I will select my group of campaigns, and I will go back to my optimization because I want to change the volume. So when I'm here, I can see the fatigue management rule at the top. So it's 2 messages maximum within the group and 1 message maximum per day, as I was saying. You can see that easily you can change the setting of your campaign. And on the jacket one, especially, I want to increase the volume as I was asked. And because I need to reach that volume, I will also change the way Tinyclues will spread the user among the campaign to make sure that I reach the volume. You see that you have 2 options within the goal. One is fixed volume, one is best audience. So fixed volume, as I was saying, means I will reach the required volume no matter what. If I do best audience, it means that I want only the top best customers up to that volume. I do not want to extend to other people that may be less interested in that particular topic. Why we need to do that? It's because, again, of the fatigue management rule, because depending on that, people will be going to the most relevant campaign for them, and so they will lose a seat on the other one. So either we replace that people, fixed volume, or we don't, best audience. Now that I've increased the volume, I will see what is the impact on my other campaign. So you have this overlap tool that is, you will see a bit the same thing as the audience mapper, but in the context of your campaign plan. It means that within that, I can see all my campaigns are overlapping within a given group. So here what I see directly is that between my trousers campaign on Friday and my jacket campaign, for which I just increased the volume, I have 72% of overlap. So 72% of people interested in pants are also the one interested in jackets. So if I keep on going that way, it means that I will lose a bunch of users will only receive one or the other. So I'm not maximizing the potential of my 2 campaigns. To avoid that, I will push further down in the week the pants campaign to avoid those 2 campaigns to cannibalize themselves. So I can just change the date. And as easy as that, putting that on Sunday instead of a Friday, it will prevent to lose too much. Of course, the limit of 2 campaigns will still apply, but it's not the same as the limit as 1 campaign on the same day. So that's it. The optimization is running. So again, spreading the customers in the most appropriate campaign. Know that we have seen that my iPhone Pro campaign has been what we call scored. So I do have the best audience for that particular topic. And what I want to do, same thing as I've done on the email campaign, is I want to make sure that I only send 1 push communication to my audience this week. What you can see is I have already 3 campaign push. So 1 on Monday, 1 on Thursday, and the one I just created on Saturday. And I want to optimize all of that together. The one on Monday is already out of the door because Monday was yesterday. Oh, and by the way, it has not been sent on Monday. I think it was Tuesday. I just will reflect that quickly, sorry, on my plan. So yeah, it was sent on Tuesday, but it's already out of the door. So all the people that were in that Sony partner campaign, it's a done deal. They already received 1 push. No, I won't prevent people to receive another one, even if they are like most likely to buy the iPhone Pro. I do not want to put too much pressure on my audience. So I will optimize my campaign with the one that is already out of the door. And so just like this, it means that I assure people to not receive another push campaign. So they will either receive the Samsung one or the iPhone one. And if they were already in the Sony partner one, they will not receive either of those 2 additional campaigns. The last thing I wanted to show you on the plan to help you again optimize your day-to-day work is what we call the refresh score. Why you may need that? Sometimes you plan ahead, and that's a good thing. You already know that you have a bunch of campaigns that need to go out weeks in advance. So you create them already in the product. But you do not have the latest audience for those ones because some things may have happened in the meantime, like new customers have signed up, you have a bunch of purchase that may have changed the way people we respond to such communication. And so what you can do is like, for example, for this one, it's something we do every week, like the weekly electronics promo on Facebook. And it has been created at the beginning of the month, of last month, sorry, by my colleague. I can see that here. And so it's not up to date. So I will just refresh the score to make sure that I have the most appropriate audience as of today for that particular campaign. What you can see is there is a bunch of other options to help you cope with the day-to-day work. Like sometimes you just do the same campaign maybe week after week and you want to clone it easily, not to create always the same thing. Or maybe you were planning on doing a campaign, but it didn't happen for, I don't know, a bunch of reasons. You have to cancel it. You just have to delete it from your plan. And that way, the plan always reflects what has been done within your plan and your communication. So it will just refresh the score, and that's it. It's launched. And again, I will find the best customer for that particular topic as of now. That's it for me. I will give the mic back to Rachel for the remaining of the steps once you have done your plan and you want to integrate with your other system.
Okay, thank you very much, Laura, for explaining us how we can use the insight tools and also to build your campaign plan. So once you've finalized your campaigns and you're ready to export, we are also there for the final step. You simply tick off the campaigns you want to export, and then they will export to the solution of your choice. So once you export them, where do they go? In our week, as you recall, we had several different types of campaigns. So we had email, push campaigns, and also Facebook. We could easily imagine that a customer would use, for example, a marketing cloud for their email campaigns. So this could be Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And then for their push campaigns, they could also use, for example, Batch, which is a push notification solution. And so when you export your campaigns from Tinyclues, that will send them directly to the solution of your choice. Now, Tinyclues has developed several native integrations with solutions to help you in your day-to-day. And so we do this because they optimize, or they integrate optimally into your workflow so that you don't have to constantly switch between different solutions. It's a very repetitive task, and it really doesn't add any value to be transferring files from one solution to the other. And so what we've done is we have developed several native integrations. Now, Batch, as I mentioned, is a push notification solution. We also have Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Facebook, Airship, all of the ones you see on here. I want to underline that we can really integrate with any solution that you use, but for some of the ones, that is the ones you see here, we push the integration even further. And so instead of transferring files, the two systems speak to each other, and the information that's tied to your audiences and the information tied to your campaigns is automatically found in your solutions so that you really don't have anything to do. It's completely automatic. So I talked about Batch a minute ago, the push notification solution. This example is what it looks like in Batch. So you see here that from Tinyclues, we exported a campaign, a push notification campaign, and we see that here we find it directly in Batch with the correct audience already created, and the campaign is created and ready to go in Batch. So really, we do this just to make your job a lot easier, but also to reduce errors and also to take away this very repetitive task of having to transfer data between the solutions. We are always adding new integrations. We really take feedback from our customers. And so if you have an integration, for example, that you'd really like to see within Tinyclues, a native integration, then please let us know. Contact your CSM, or simply after the webinar, you are welcome to email us with any suggestions that you may have. So once you've exported your campaigns, perhaps into one of these solutions I talked about, we also think that you really want to have a better idea of who you reach with your campaigns. And so for that, we have a tool called Audience Insights. So we'll go back here, and it's right here in the analytics menu. I'd like to just say here that we do have roles that allow you to give the insights and also the tools you saw earlier with Laura. We have roles that allow you to share those with other people in your organization as read only. And so that just gives you an easy way to show the power of Tinyclues, and also it makes it a lot more interactive and maybe a bit easier to understand than a screenshot. So here we are in Audience Insights. Audience Insights is not brand new, but we recently revamped the design and we optimized it for speed and just made it a lot easier to use for our customers. And so here we have, for example, exported Tinyclues campaigns. That's all of your campaigns together, but you can also choose the single exported campaigns, and I'll show you that in just a minute. You can also choose, for example, the time period that you wish. So we have 30, 14, and 7 days. So let's go, for example, to the Sony campaign that just went out. And so for here, I'll go into the single exported campaigns. And here I can choose a campaign. So here we have the Sony Partner Campaign. Now, the Sony Partner Campaign, this first graph that we see is just a simple gender distribution. So in this dark circle is what the campaign reached. And we can see on this campaign that it reached around 71% male and around 28% female. Now, all that tells you is that in comparison to your database as a whole, that is the proportion of your database, your whole database has 55% male versus around 44% female. And all this tells you is that for this specific campaign, Tinyclues used its technology to find the people who would be most interested in your offers, most likely to engage. And for this campaign, Sony, that was 71% male. It's not good or bad. It just gives you a quick idea that in comparison with what we call the actionable customers, that is the proportion of your database, you targeted more males than females and more than the proportion of users in your database. If we go here, this is another way to understand this. This is the age gender distribution chart here. And what this tells us is that at first glance, we can see that the Sony partner campaign interests people a little bit more over age 40. We could deduce that perhaps Sony is a more expensive brand. Perhaps people who are most interested in this brand also maybe have a higher disposable income. Again, these are just kind of what we can deduce from the data, and it can help you make more informed marketing decisions down the road. And here we see that there's a gap, for example, in between who you targeted between, say, age 31 to 35 and the actual actionable customers in your database. Again, this isn't a good or a bad thing. It can tell you, for example, maybe on this age range, you are under soliciting this specific age range, and you could have another campaign that would cater more towards this age range. Or perhaps your marketing strategy was that you really wanted to solicit these older, let's say older, 40 isn't that old, but we wanted to solicit this group of people. And so that was a success, what your marketing plan, what you intended to do. So this is really just to give you a quick idea of who you've reached with your campaigns, and then to use this data to create better campaigns in the future. And one final note with this would be that partner campaigns are a really important part of many of our customers' marketing plans. And partners often want to have a bit of visibility about who they are reaching with their campaigns. And so with the audience insights, you can use this data to give to your partners so that they can have a better idea of who you reached with your campaigns. Again, all of this would depend on your marketing strategy. So that is it for today's webinar for the Step Up Your CRM Marketing. Just a quick recap, you first saw with Laura the efficiency map and the audience mapper. Those are our insight tools to help you find topics for either your full base or niche topics. Secondly, we saw building a better campaign plan with Laura, and so that just shows you how easy it is to create your campaigns across the week or month, and several of the features that we've developed for that. And I talked about all of the native integrations we have within Tinyclues, as well as integrations that work with all kinds of solutions. And finally, the audience insights that we just saw that gives you a better idea of who you're targeting with your campaigns. So with that, we will open the floor to questions from you, our viewers today. And again, use the Q&A that's in the little box there. And if you wish, you can also ask anonymously. And of course, we're open after the webinar to emails if you have any other questions. So with that, I'll leave the floor open to all of you out there.
So I think we have a first question that is, how is efficiency index calculated? So I will take this one. So basically, if I give you an example, for example, if we say that in average, on your catalog, you need 20% of your customers to have 80% of your sales, to reach 80% of your sales. And for a given product, a particular one, we can identify at Tinyclues that you only need to reach 5% to account for 80%, sorry. That means it's an efficiency index of 4. Revenue is 4 times more concentrated for this product than for a generic product in your catalog. Hope that makes sense. Do not hesitate if not, and if you need me to explain a bit more on that.
Okay, thank you, Laura. I can take this next one, or Laura, you can add if you want to. Can all of these features be used by the marketing team independently of any data scientist, or is this complementing the data science team, and how? So obviously, we talked today about a CRM workflow, but that doesn't mean that Tinyclues is only for CRM teams. We can also imagine that category managers would be very interested by Tinyclues to have a better idea of which topics to push or which products. Also, analytics teams often use Tinyclues as well. Data scientists, where we really complement data scientists, is that many data scientists actually have lots of other things to do than marketing. The main core of value of their work is not with marketing. That being said, they have to find audiences often for the marketing team, and this can take a really long time. So for data science teams, there's not a huge value added to look for these targeting campaigns. So what we do is we take away that task. We are not in any way replacing data science teams, but we take away the task of finding the audiences so that they can work on more strategic tasks in their day-to-day at work. I hope that answers your question, but please ask more if you have any more questions. Okay, Laura, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, sure. So within the audience insight that we just saw, all the black lines represent your customer base. So it means that in average, for example, in your customer base, you have 50% of people between 20 and 25 years old. But so that's the black line. And maybe, I don't know if we can show it, but like the bar charts represent how many people you have reached within that particular campaign. So it's really a comparison between how is your customer base composed and what you have done specifically within that campaign or that group of campaign over the past 30 days, for example.
Okay, thank you very much, Laura. Are there any other questions there? All right, well, if we don't have any other questions, then we will end this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. And after the webinar, we will also send you the recording as well as the slides with a few links that you can use. I'd like to add one final note that we often do release notes. They are public for everyone to look at, and that will also be in the slides. And finally, for all of these updates, you are lucky because we did a French version of this webinar 2 weeks ago, and so we had to tell them to wait until we did this one in English. But since it's the last edition of this webinar, we will publish the new blog post tomorrow with all of the updates we talked about with a little bit more details so you can have a better view of what we've been working on for the past few months. And so all of these links will be shared with you tomorrow with the recording of the webinar. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us today and hope to talk to you soon.